So welcome back to the channel, and we got a deal, and this might be the sweetest deal that I've ever gotten in the history of just doing used parts pickup. So I got an email, someone reached out to me and says, hey, I got a ton of parts I'm looking to get rid of. They're moving out of North Carolina, or maybe out of the area that they live at. I forget exactly how the email reads. And their thing is that they just want to get rid of it. So we've kind of been back and forth on the price, and I'll talk more about the price later on the video, but if this deal works out really well, it could help me finish a bunch of computer projects that I need to get built and out of the garage, add some new builds. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about budget builds. We got a couple of donation PCs that we need to get done. So this could be exactly what we need. But before we do all that, we got to prepare. So this guy lives 3 hours away, and this is going to be a 6-hour round trip, probably about 7 or 8 hours after everything. And I have found in my experience that typically most people don't have the boxes, bags, or anything for that stuff, and it's loose hardware. And I don't want to go up there and just throw a bunch of motherboards in the bed of the truck or just lying around where they could get damaged, messed up, whatnot. We need to find a way to secure this stuff and make sure that the truck is ready to receive all this lovely hardware. So this is what I'm thinking. This is the wife's Christmas tote, and I'm pretty sure she won't mind if I use this and return it. Maybe not. But we're going to take this tote, empty it out, and get ourselves ready for tomorrow. So let's start with this tote. It's pretty light, so oh yeah, this is perfect. We're getting all this stuff out of here. You know, I put all this stuff on top of this and I didn't realize that I need the lid. So, what I'm thinking, cushion. Got a bunch of this stuff that I keep, mostly for like rattles when I'm working on my truck, but it comes in handy. Anti-static bags, sure. I'll grab a bunch of this stuff. A couple of old beach towels, they might come in handy. Probably throwing a tool or two, just in case. Might have to take something apart. Doubtful. This comes in handy. What this is kind of a stopper, a divider. It goes inside the bed of the truck from one wall to the other wall. And then when you put a little pressure on it, wherever you lock it in, it keeps that cargo from going forward. So my thought is, depending on what we have, if we do have a bunch of cases or just that, and I need to keep it in the bed of the truck, you can take this, lock it in place, put a little tension on it, and that would actually keep all the stuff from sliding forward while traveling. So that's going with us. And because I've recently just done a bunch of work to this truck, so it's a 2004 Chevy Silverado with the 4.8, not the 5.3, but I just recently did the intake manifold gasket, knock sensors, a whole bunch of stuff. Check out my other channel, DLM Garage, if you're interested in it. But anytime I do any type of trip, gotta check the fluids. It would not be a good deal if I have to pay $200 for a tow truck. Oh, we perfect. Perfect. We'll check the coolant. All right, everything looks good. So we should be all loaded up. The truck, the fluids, everything's looking good. One bin should be more than enough. I mean, how many motherboards can you really put up in there. If anything, I could put things on the seat, but right now I just want to make sure that we can secure smaller, looser items and stuff like that. That's why I brought the bags, and I'll probably bring in some more shop towels. I've had this happen where I've had a bunch of CPUs that I've picked up loose, and you want to protect the hardware the best you can. In this case, we're driving 3 hours and back home with all this stuff, and I want to make sure with bumps, vibrations, all that type of stuff, that nothing can potentially break. The name of the game is preserve the hardware in travel. And another reason why I brought the screwdriver is he did mention about a system that he is throwing in the deal. If it has a graphics card, depending on the graphics card or how girthy it is, I like to take them out and not travel with them just because of the weight. You can break the slot on that. So that is another thing that I do take into consideration. But I think we should have everything we need. Truck is set, ready to go. This is a gamble because there's a lot of unknowns. I'm trying to orchestrate and get more details as I'm filming this with the guy. He's giving me a lot of details. It does seem like we have some really good stuff. I'll catch you guys in the morning, and we'll hit the road. Good morning. It's like 6:30, and I'm tired. A little bit early, a little bit chilly this morning, about 45 degrees Fahrenheit, but mostly tired. Got a cold, and I'm on the up and up, doing a lot better, but man, did I get no sleep last night. The congestion factor. But anyways, text the guy this morning, and he confirmed, and he's like, yep, we're good to meet at 10, so that is awesome. Of course, first things first, we need food, not fuel. So I learned that gas at the Wawa is more expensive than the gas at the neighborhood Walmart where I live. Mostly because the Wawa is right next to the interstate, and it's a 30-cent difference. So I got gas at the neighborhood Walmart, but I will get myself one of those breakfast burritos at the Wawa. Amazing. So we are on Highway 210. Yep, Highway 210. And this brings back memory lanes. This is AKA Murchison Road. If you're familiar with Fayetteville, North Carolina, you know the Merc. That dude's flying. Holy moly. Ooh, almost caused an accident. Did he? Look, oh shoot. And he's gonna take off and go. Did they cause an accident? I'll tell you what, that dude, what a not nice person. I mean, you're going 100 miles per hour and then you try to pass people in the turn lane. I mean, come on. That's crazy. Well, looks like nobody got hurt, and thank God for that. So we are about less than an hour away from this, and if I haven't mentioned it, it's Thomasville, North Carolina, which is, I think, outside of Greensboro. For some reason, I was thinking it was near Charlotte. I was wrong on that. But anyways, I will say on this deal, I am a little nervous. And hear me out. If you're gonna go out and do the used parts hunt, the most information that you can get is beneficial. It'll help you get the better deal and ensure that you're actually getting good stuff. Just based upon the information I was provided, it seems like it is potentially a good deal, but there's still the unknown of if the stuff works, what doesn't work. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that he's throwing in the deal. And that could be good or bad, because I've actually had deals where they say, oh yeah, I got a ton of extra good stuff, and next thing you know, I'm getting DDR2 memory and Athlon 64s, which are not great, which then at that point I become the e-waste recycler, or the transporter to the recycling place. All right, so we made it. Not a bad drive, pretty easy. And check engine light came on the truck, so that's a great feeling. Guess more content for the other channel, but I'm gonna text the guy now, let him know that I'm getting ready to pull up, and let's see what we get into. All right, so this was pretty good. We got a lot of good stuff. A pretty nice haul. The dude was flipping awesome, and we just spent a lot of time shooting the breeze. But I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys in just a sec what we got. I need to find a gas station so we can gas up on this. We'll talk about what we got, the price and everything. So we just picked up a bunch of stuff. Got a case right over there. Another mini case, which is real cool because I could put a system in there for the garage, which I'm thinking about. Computer, we just need a graphics card, just go through it. A lot of stuff that I really don't know what it is. Switch, DVD drives, AIOs, and all this stuff works. I think there's another switch here. CPUs. And then a box full of power supplies and cables, which untested, but we'll test them and see what we could use out of that. And then the tote, I got it packed right to the top with a whole bunch of other stuff, a couple of motherboards and stuff like that. So, I mean, we got a lot of good stuff. Definitely a worthwhile drive. But we need to head back. Got a nice 3-hour drive. And when we get to the garage, we'll talk more about the details of this deal and eventually get through going through everything, double checking that it works and seeing what we can use and the plans moving forward. So I'm very thankful, and this was an awesome trip. And talking to that guy, coolest dude ever. So let's hit the road and get back. All right, there's all of it. So everything over here, 1, 2, and then this is from another parts hustle, which that's what's left after I've sold and flipped the stuff I got from it. But this stuff all the way over here is what we got today. And we got a bunch of stuff. A case, which we'll have to dive into. We gotta work on that. I think this is an i7 system with 32 gigs of DDR4, he said, which is pretty awesome. This Deep Cool Lucifer V2 CPU cooler. Pretty cool, okay. Blu-rays and a bunch of DVD drives, and you're probably saying, junk, get rid of it. Hear me out, folks. Every now and then I get one of these cases that have the 5 1/4s and they're missing a slot. This comes in handy to fill it in so it doesn't look as bad or tacky. So that's why I keep them. So it's definitely worth it for that. This is something I'm really excited about, the Silverstone case, and we'll dive into that and all that type of mess. But for now, it's probably going to be another week or two because we're at Monday. Wednesday, we leave for out of town for a week. Tomorrow, I got to prepare for the trip, make sure the vehicle is good to go. We're definitely not taking the truck because we got a check engine light and some issues there. But old Toyota Highlander to the rescue. So we'll definitely be taking that. But I need to make sure it's clean and all the other good stuff. So unfortunately, this stuff is going to have to sit. But also, folks, I'm tired. I am worn out. Still fighting this cold, which I'm on the up and up, but between that near miss accident that we just so happened to record, which was intense, that could have been bad. Thank God that truck didn't flip, because it would have went into oncoming traffic and cars could have went everywhere. You never know. I mean, it's crazy. That was real crazy. Also, the fact that this used parts deal was a little nerve-wracking in the sense that I didn't have a lot of information about it. I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And it's a little uncomfortable when you're meeting somebody that you haven't really negotiated a deal with. So thankfully, the dude was awesome. And I'll talk more about that and the price and everything when we dive into the stuff at the end of the video. And then the truck issue, and then 6 hours round trip plus an hour out there with the guy. So, and I did have to stop for a potty break. So it's been about 7.5, 8 hour day. So I'm done. I'm tired. When I come back, which should be in a week, which will be a couple of seconds for you guys, we'll dive into this mess, do some inventory, and go over everything we got and see what exactly we're going to do with it. So stay tuned. Folks, it is raining and it is cold in the garage. I think we're at like 38 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll put the Celsius on the screen. Plus we got high humidity. So there's a nice chill in here. One day I will get a heater for this garage or figure out some type of heating solution. But until then, we'll just deal with the frostbite and the freezing stuff. and move on. So I need to come up with a plan for this, and it's actually been 2 weeks because vacation and other stuff and obligations and all that type of stuff. And this is driving me crazy. I'm big on keeping my garage clean, and all this stuff is just, and it's also making me kind of anxious because I'm excited to tinker with this. So we got to come up with a plan. The plan is that I need to do an inventory of this stuff along with all the other stuff that I have in the garage, but I need the misc for that. The misc is phenomenal when it comes to like spreadsheets and all that type of stuff, so I'll have to take a separate day for that. But until then, I need to know what I have, take mental notes of what I have, because there's a lot of stuff here that I can use. I got videos, builds, projects, and all types of stuff that I need to dive into. So I'm thinking, let's go through this, test what we can, make mental notes of what we need, and I think that's gonna be the best option for now. So first things first, we got Blu-rays, 2 Blu-rays, and I actually like having these things because number 1, I use Blu-rays, I still do. And number 2, in the deal, we picked up this Silverstone HTPC case. I love these things. These things were flipping phenomenal when they came out. I mean, now with the way computers have evolved, it's a little big and cumbersome, but I think for what I can use it for now, it will work. I could pop in a Blu-ray player over here, put a ITX motherboard, and it actually uses a full-size power supply. This is what it was back in the day. So I'm definitely going to be doing a build with this because I really like these cases. These cases were just awesome. I mean, replace your VCR, DVD, and TiVo and all that type of stuff with this. So it won't be for inside the house, but it'll definitely be for the garage, right up there with all my other forgotten projects. I'll get to them eventually. Well, no, I've gotten through most of them. I think there's only one case I haven't worked on. That's an old NZXT one. Definitely gotta do a build and video with that, but we'll put that up there for now until I'm ready to dive into that Silverstone case. He threw in all these DVD drives, the Asus. They're okay to have. And the reason why I keep these drives, and I think I talked about it earlier, is a perfect example is a case like this where you don't have the front panel or these blanks. I find a lot of cases like this and they still have, you know, the plastic, and they're not bad looking cases, but they're missing this. Just pop in a DVD drive, you put a decent spec system in it. It looks a lot better, it still sells. I don't think I need this many, but we have it. So now this case, actually not bad. It's a fractal. I like fractal cases. The fractal design Meshify C, that was like my favorite, and I still love that case. My little brother has it. Definitely a case I won't get rid of, but like I said, we'll pop a DVD drive in here and that will work. He put a piece of tape on it, and I think he said because the LED light was a little bright. Okay, progress, progress. I got space over here. All right, so Deep Cool Lucifer V2 CPU cooler, the silent flavor. Let's see what this is. I am not familiar with this cooler, and I kind of hate to take it out, but I want to see what I got. Yeah, that's a pretty nice looking cooler. I like that. And I think it would look really nice paired with the right build and color scheme, mostly because those fans are green. And I do have a case that would look real good with this cooler. I'm not gonna release that information just yet. You folks are just gonna have to stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to the channel, but I got a really cool case that has some value, has a really cool system in it, and I was trying to hunt it down for the past 3 years from the same seller. It's about 800 miles away, and finally by chance, I was actually in the area on vacation, and the seller actually responded after 3 years of me trying to message him, and I bought it. Sweet deal. So stay tuned for that. But all right, pretty cool. So now I got to figure out a home for these. I don't know where I'm going to put them just yet. We're going to put them somewhere. Just haven't figured that part out. So this was a computer he threw in with the deal. I think it's an i7 7700. I think he says it has 32 gigs of DDR4. If I'm not mistaken, if that's the case, the memory is probably worth more than all this stuff together. just with the prices of memory right now as of early December. So yeah, that part. Let's go ahead, let's throw it on the bench. Let's see if this thing fires up, at least gives me a post, confirm the specs, and this is definitely a build that we'll have to tinker around with. This is kind of a cool looking case. I mean, it's very small. It's a Aura. Okay, cool. Tempered glass, RGB, everybody loves that. Let's go ahead and dust this stuff out since I'm already here. So. Wow, that was a lot dustier than I thought. But that was cool. And people ask all the time, oh, you should do it outside and you're getting all the dirt in your garage and all that type of stuff. Folks, it's a garage. This garage is dirty, but I clean it all the time. I dust my garage, I wipe down my garage, I scrub down the floors of my garage because I do automotive stuff. I wipe this stuff. I mean, this garage is probably cleaner than some aspects of inside my house, but that's another story. I gotta do better on that. Anywho's, moving on to this. Never heard of this cooler. Silent Hill, okay. Gamdia fans, which these are pretty cool. Early on in the channel, Gamdia's actually used to send me fans to do reviews on, and it's pretty awesome. And all of a sudden, a couple of years ago, they stopped doing that. Kind of sad because I really liked Gamdia's fans. Really good fans. I actually have them in a couple of systems that I built 4 or 5 years ago, and the fans are running fantastic. And the price to what you got was pretty good. So, not sure why they stopped. But anyways, Thermaltake Smart 500 watt fan. MSI Z270 Gaming Plus, which is actually a really cool looking motherboard, I will say. As far as this fan, it's only a 3-pin, which is not terrible. I'd rather have a 4-pin PWM, but you know, you get what you get. And other than that, I don't see anything else. I'm not sure what CPU is in here. i7 7700K, I'm pretty sure it has iGPU, but it only has DisplayPort and DVI, and I only have an HDMI connector hooked up right now, and I don't feel like pulling out my other connectors, so we're going to use the trusty, faithful GT 1030, probably my most favorite graphics card for testing and sacrificing. So if you ever need a graphics card to sacrifice, test, tinker around with, get yourself a GT 1030. Let's fire up. Let's hit the delete button 2,187 times. Get into the BIOS. All right, so what do we have? Yep, i7 7700K, awesome. Good CPU. Even though it doesn't have native Windows 11 support, we can get past that. We have options, we can make it better. And for the memory, yep, 32 gigs of DDR4, which is stinking awesome. Now, I am curious on the speed of this memory. And we are looking at 2666. Not bad. Not bad for the year of the hardware that we have. All right, cool deal. So we got a system, it works. Not exactly sure what I'm gonna do with it just yet. I think the little human that I get to claim on my taxes is wanting to have her first computer. This is an option. So cool deal. Let me pack this thing up, find a spot for it, and move on to the other stuff. All right, so what's next? So now all this are power supplies, which is good because one of the issues I was running into is that I was running out of power supplies. So very thankful for that. But we have random cables, which not sure which goes to what. I'm gonna go ahead and just test these with a power supply tester just to make sure that they fire up and we have no issues with that. But I'll probably do a separate video on just using a multimeter and matching up the cables with the power supply. That's typically how I do it. And that makes sure that you don't use the wrong cable with the power supply and create a short or fry the whole computer. So yeah, that part. What's in here? He did throw in some CPUs. Not sure exactly what we got. Let's take a look at them. These are the Core 2 Duo flavors. So this one says Intel Confidential. I'm not sure what this CPU is. I'll have to look this one up, so I'll put that to the side. Pentium dual core, Pentium dual core. Got a Xeon E5440, Core 2 Duo. I keep these because I still run into computers with these CPUs. Not that people are using computers like this in 2025, well, some are, but I do have people that have retro computers, they run into parts go bad. And yeah, I still have a bunch of clients who have dedicated Core 2 Duo retro systems, and it's good to have parts like this, so pretty cool. And as far as this CPU, this is probably a Xeon flavor. What are we looking at? Xeon E5-2697A V4. That's actually pretty good to have. I'll keep these two together. I'll have to figure out what CPU this one is. But that's pretty cool. So it's been a couple hours later and we're back with some great news. Almost all the power supplies work. All these work fantastic, and we got some bonus. EVGA 650 GM Supernova SFX power supply. These things are fantastic to have, and I actually have a couple ITX builds that I can use this for, so I'm excited about that. Good value there. Thermal take, an Extreme Gear, Power Spec 850, VTX 500. This one is a Rosewell 750 watt, and they all work fantastic. They tested perfectly. I did go ahead off camera as well because I had to know. I plugged them into my i7 4th gen Linux PC, stress tested the computers, and they worked fine under load. So these power supplies are good to go. And even though we're missing some of the cables, we have enough cables for what we're going to need them for. We at least have the PCIe and one SATA rail, so that's pretty good. And even though we're missing all this, we're not going to be doing high-end super builds with these. Typically, the graphics cards that I will plug into these only require a 6-pin or an 8-pin. I'm excited about that EVGA 651. Unfortunately, we do have one bad one. This is a Thermaltake TR2 600 watts. I mean, they're not the greatest. It does work, but the fan is noisy. I could take, and I've done this before, I could take out this fan and replace it and put another fan in there. I might do that, or honestly, really, I just might toss it. But, I mean, that's the only one that didn't work, and the only reason why it didn't work was because of the fans. So that is awesome. I got 6 new power supplies that work fantastic. In the box, I did find this. It's Accelero Twin Turbo 2 graphics card core. And the reason why I like these is because I do end up finding a lot of cheap video cards that were water cooled, especially in the 20 series, and you don't have a cooler for them. And if you get a cheap graphics card that doesn't have the water cooler on it, this works great. Yes, you could get on eBay and just buy the air cooler for it, but I like to keep this around. So far, we're doing great. All right, so moving on. Let's see what else we got. Fans, AeroCool, SharkCool, and the original plastic. Very nice, very nice. Oh my gosh, I was stuck. This is pretty old school. That one's never been opened. Now moving on to these AIOs. ID Cool. Let's just take a quick look. So the Zoom Flow 240 X240 Evo, Lancer, Mitsubishi. I'm just curious on what it looks like. All right. Yep, RGB fans, pretty nice. Mostly listening for sloshing. If you hear a lot of that water sloshing around, it's a good chance that it's dried up. Actually sounds pretty good. What does the front look like? These are pretty nice. And this one's pretty nice. So I think he told me these were brand new, but the color scheme didn't work for a build that he did. But has all the stuff in there. I mean, these fans, I think it's only white. I think that was the issue. Yeah, these were just white fans, which honestly, I think this is perfect. And hear me out, because white just goes with everything. You could do a real nice white build with this. Just have the white color, not the rainbow puke. And it looks really clean. So these are switches, and I really can't test them because number one, I just don't know anything about this type of stuff. And I definitely am going to learn about it. And I'm excited about that. Now, I think this one is an older one, he told me, which is perfectly fine and good with me because I can learn. Oh, these are heavy. This is a Dell E09W001X1052P. Yep. I do want to set up a network, and I need to set up a network with a switch and all that type of stuff for the house because I do have multiple computers in the garage that I have set up going when I'm doing builds. Plus I have one in my bedroom, my main computer in the living room, and then the guest room, I do have a PC that I keep there just for small basic stuff. And I need to set up one for the kiddo, plus my laptops and all that type of stuff. So I definitely need to learn. And this one is actually the one I'm gonna actually use to learn. This one is a cloud smart switch. It's still probably overkill for what I need it for, but considering that I have it, it's perfect. And now this. Kind of been dreading this one. Mostly because there's a lot of stuff in here. And I don't remember what's in here. So these are the rails for, I think, the Dell switch, if I'm not mistaken. And let's see, Corsair Hydro Series H55. This thing is still like practically sealed. And looks like brand new. Man, like barely used, okay. That I like to see. So we got that. So another power supply that I do need to test, and honestly, I hope this works because this would be perfect for my Pentium 4 machine that I got up there. So I had to steal a power supply for that one for another project. And then I wound up having to give that away. So if this works, this would be awesome for that. So let's take that out and put it on the bench to test. Air cooler, Heligon Series Twin Towers. Oh my gosh. Not familiar with this one. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. So Silverstone, fan in the middle. Zonar DCX PCI Express 7.1 sound card. That's actually pretty cool. I actually have a couple of sound cards that, yeah, I don't know what to do with them. And they're like one of those, at the time, expensive ones. And I don't have any purpose for them, but I still keep them. I have I can't even remember which ones I have, but they're cool looking. And maybe I should just do a video on it. USB 2.0 to IDE SATA cable adapter. I'm excited about this. This is the most exciting part about this deal because I've been looking for this screwdriver for the past 2 weeks and I have no idea what I did with it. I left it in here. I was losing sleep over that. Rohibus, Easy Fan and Neon controller. Oh, we're going old school with this. I like that. That is kind of cool. The Kraken G12 GPU mounting kit. This is the one I was talking about. They work okay. They get the job done. I will say that. They do get the job done. But I've never been a fan of them. I'm also excited because I've been looking for this. So, yeah. All right, so this is what I've been needing to do. He gave me this cool keyboard. Like I said, my little human needs a computer. She loves pink. So I am thankful for this. It's actually not too bad. Feels decent. It's not clicky, which clicky is annoying. A bunch of mice, which that's good. These are the bonuses that when you build computers, you add this in. You know, people say, hey, you got a mouse and keyboard? Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. So we'll have to move this somewhere. TP Link, 5-port gigabit desktop switch. Don't know if we have the plug for this. We'll see. Let's see what else we got. Now we do have some graphics cards, nothing too crazy. These are some older ones, and I like the older retro hardware. They're my favorite. I think this one is 8400 GS, GT 710. And this one, I don't know, but we know it's old because it has that. So we do have these. This is one that I am excited about, X99 Extreme. Now I did get an NZXT case that I am going to use for a server type setup, and this would be awesome. We have 2400, 16 gigs, DDR4 2400, ECC memory, which is perfectly fine for this build. And I think these are all 16 gig sticks. Yeah, 16, 32. So we got 64 gigs of ECC memory, which is awesome. And this is the Gigabyte, is it a Gigabyte? No, ASRock X99 Extreme. We got a nice Dynatron CPU cooler. Molex on the motherboard. This thing is dating itself. I don't remember what CPU he said was on this. I know he said Xeon. I think he said he just had Xeons on these. He might have had the i7 58, whatever, 5090, something like that. But either way, I'm excited for that. And honestly, X99 are still pretty good systems in 2025. They perform well and they sell. So that's pretty cool. I think he said 1650. I'm pretty sure he said this was a 1650, which 1650s work really good for budget builds. 1 6-pin, that is stinking sweet. We still got a bunch of other stuff down in here. This one is a MSI Mag B550M mortar. I don't remember what CPU is in this, but it has the Wi-Fi. We do have some memory on it. It's an 8 gig DDR4 2666. Ryzen likes faster memory, but this should be fine and get the job done. Might have to juggle some memory with some other builds, but that's pretty sweet. Wireless mouse, awesome. Let's get out this other motherboard over here. So now this one is an X79, and I'm excited about this for one simple reason. I have a case and some hardware that's actually gonna look pretty sweet with this. Now this is 8 gigs of DDR3 10600, so 8, 16, 24, 32. And this is gonna be a fun one to play with. I'm looking forward to this one. As silly as it may sound. Oh, and we even have the back plate. Oh, sweet, I didn't remember we had the back plate. This is gonna be a fun one. Laptop memory, what do we got? 8 gigs DDR4, so this is a 16 gig kit of laptop memory. This comes in handy like extreme, because I do have a bunch of laptops and they come in with 8 gigs of DDR4. So that part. Now as far as storage, 3 terabyte, 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte. This one is a 500 gig, 500, 750, 60 gig, 500 gig, 320 gig. All right. So more 1 terabytes, 3 terabytes. Stuff adds up. And we got CPU over here. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Xeon E5 2630 V2. So we'll add that to my other Xeons that we got from this deal. I think we're almost there. We got some CPUs over here. Oh yeah, Ryzen 5 5600X, which I need to find a better way to secure this. The pins look perfect, so we're gonna have to figure something out. I might have a cover for it somewhere, but this is definitely not gonna protect it. Put the bag over here. What's in here? What's in door number 1? think these are the Wi-Fi cards. Yes, Wi-Fi card, Asus. I like these. You sell a computer with Wi-Fi, people love it. SATA, okay, yep, SATA. And this is some Ethernet thing that I am not familiar with it. Folks, if you're watching this channel, you'll learn real quick. I don't know nothing about network, Ethernet. I just know how to plug it in and get on the internet, set up my Wi-Fi, but I need to do better and learn that skill. Could make me more money because I have a lot of people asking me, you know, oh, can you set up a network for me and all that type of stuff. I gotta learn. And we got a bunch of memory over here. So let's take a look at what we got. What we can use, cannot use. All right, let's see. DDR3, DDR3, DDR3 laptop memory. Okay. This one is, ooh, DDR4 3600. This is like worth $1,000 right now. That's a score. This one, DDR4 8 gig. So that's an 8 gig. This one is, I think this one's a 16 gig. It says 16G times 2. So yeah, that's like $10,000. Man, I got a deal. Dinosaur memory, DDR3, DDR3. And what are these? Oh yeah, PC4 2133. This is a, it's really hard to tell if it's like a 4 gig stick, 16 gig stick. It says 16 gig, but I've been deceived by that. I do know it's DDR4. More DDR4, more DDR4. These are the DDR3s. Value select. Does anybody remember this? I remember buying this memory because it was so cheap. It was the value and I selected it. And we're gonna go ahead and add this to my bin of DDR3 memory. Right over here, plenty of flavors, plenty of colors. I got the Dom Plats, I got the Rip Jaws, and now I have the value select. That's right, it's my stash. All right, so we'll have to move this memory over. These are a bunch of fans, which they're Corsairs. I don't know what color the fans are. 3 pins, but fractal, ooh, fractal. All 3 pins, 3 pins, 3 pins. Cooler Master, Silverstone, 3 pins. So these are all 3-pin fans, which are fine because they're actually a good, decent brands. And I could get rid of some of the cheap, crappy ones that I have. Might have to check out my OnlyFans to see what I got going on in there. Nice. So we're gonna start with this X99 motherboard. We use one of the power supplies that came with everything. All right, let's go ahead and power this thing on. Power button should be up here. Kind of helps if I plug in the HDMI, right? What did I do with my HDMI cord? There it is. Found it. All right, we got a post. I like it. 64 gigs ECC memory, and we got a Xeon E5 2667 V3 at 3.2 gigahertz, 20 meg cache. So as far as I'm concerned, this motherboard is good to go. It checks the boxes. All right, so like I said, I don't know what CPU we have in here. I'm sure I was told, but I don't remember. And now keep this in mind, folks, just because we're getting a post doesn't mean that it works. Still gotta make sure it's stable and all that type of good stuff. Think probably these. So B550, Ryzen 5 3600 XT 6 core, 16 gigs of DDR4. I think the speeds were 2400, which is about right. All right, so we're good to go with the memory and the CPU. So I tested the Ryzen 5 5600. It posts, that's good. It works with the memory, both slots. So we're able to confirm that the memory part of it does work. So we're good there. This memory, we do have a 16 gig and an 8 gig DDR4, which is pretty nice. And as far as this memory, this is ECC memory. I forget what ECC memory, I think from what I remember, if you count the chips, if the number is divisible by 9, it's ECC. If it's not, it's non-ECC. But I put it in here, it didn't work, and I'm thinking about that. I popped it in the X99 motherboard, and all these read fine. So we have 120 gigs. So we have 128 gigs of ECC memory. So that would actually be pretty good for that X99 motherboard. And that memory still has some value if we were to sell it. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do with all this type of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I definitely have to dive into, but for the most part, everything is working fine. We're good to go. So let's go ahead. Let's test out this X79 motherboard, and I think we should be done with everything. So onto our X79. I do have this cooler that's for it, but I'm missing one of the mounting bolts, so it's just kind of hanging out. Not bolted, it's fine. All we're looking to do is just turn this thing on and make sure that it posts. So the cool thing about this board, it has its own power button. So here we go. Whoa, we got beeps and we got a post. And let's see, 32 gigs DDR3. What CPU we got there? Actually, I think I read it on there. I don't remember what it said. But as far as I'm concerned, CPU configuration, 3700. It's fine. So this post, it's good enough. I'm fairly confident. And I was told that all this stuff works. I just need to make sure. And also for my inventory purposes, but we're golden. All right, so we did really good. CPUs, motherboards, great stuff. All stuff that I can use, stuff that I need. The biggest score was the power supplies. I do need a couple of, cheap power supplies for these low-end systems that sell really quick. So I'm very excited to have power supplies. I was running out on that. We did get an extra case, which I do have to fix, which that should be cheap and easy. I do need to pick up about another 2 more cases. So I might have to get on the marketplace to pick up 2 more cases for some of these builds on that. But I mean, the i7, 7th gen, the B550, the CPUs, the memory alone, I mean, awesome, great deal. We got 1 graphics card, a 1650, 2 switches, I mean, a whole bunch of really cool stuff. And one thing I did forget to mention that I did get with the deal was this a wow mini PC, Amazon stores, whatever. It's only a CPU N3450, 128 gig storage, Windows 10 home. I mean, this thing has no power, no beans, but what I do find is that stuff like that works really good for emulation. So maybe I'll try to do that. I have sold emulation PCs, and they don't sell as quick, but there is a small market for that. So that might be a thing that I'm able to do with that. We'll see. So as far as what I paid for this stuff, I paid $300. Yes, that's right, $300, which was an amazing deal for it. And just to kind of give you a little backstory, how we got the $300, I was in the middle of another used parts haul pickup, and I got the email, and I was actually getting ready to leave for out of town for about a week, and the seller emailed me about it, and I was like, I gotta make this deal work, but I was a little tight on cash. They had wanted a little more for this. The only thing I could offer was $300, because that's what I had left in the budget for this stuff, because I still have stuff I need to flip from the last haul pickup. I got a couple of computers that I need to get sold, so I got working on that, and a couple of invoices that need to get paid. So my budget as far as this was only $300, and the seller agreed. I drove 3 hours out there, 3 hours back. It was a nice drive. Got to meet the seller, awesome person, and I definitely appreciate hooking me up with this great deal. I wish I could have offered more, but at the end of the day, I can only offer what I have. Just because you do YouTube, you're not rich, folks. I will say that. Some are, we're not there. But the seller did make a good point, and this is another reason why I try to find these bulk deals. They're out there, a bit hard to find, but taking this stuff and listing it for sale on the Facebook marketplace or eBay is cumbersome, can be a headache, and is time consuming. Number one, for the Facebook marketplace, you have to meet up with people or have them come to your house. And if you're not comfortable with that or good at doing that type of stuff, that becomes, you know, a risk or a gamble, safety reasons and all that type of stuff. Plus you're having to go out, come back, and if you have multiple items, it's a headache. I've dealt with that before, and that's why usually I try to sell one item at a time and, you know, do it that route. And then the same thing with eBay. The thing with eBay is that you got to deal with the shipping, and I mean, it really, to sell all this stuff on Facebook Marketplace and eBay would take a lot of time and effort. Fortunately, I'm in a position where I have a network where I can move this stuff a lot quicker than most people, and that's just mostly because the people I know, the connections, all that type of stuff. As far as what I'm gonna do with everything, the biggest thing is the inventory. The Mrs. DLM, she's gonna have to put the work in this weekend and really sit down with me and help me inventory all this stuff, see what I have, see what I can build. Some of it we will flip and move forward. There is a small portion of it that we do need to keep. And I kind of break it down this way. Number one, extra parts for repairs and builds that may come in. So we need to keep extra parts. Number two, the ones that we can actually sell, complete systems. And then number three, the donation stuff. And when I say donation, those are for when people reach out and says, hey, I need a computer dirt cheap, or my computer's broken and they don't have the money for the repair or the parts or whatever. Those are the stuff that we can kind of help them and bless them and pay it forward. So I do have to go through what parts and see what we can put aside for that. So I got a lot of work ahead of me, but I'm thankful, greatly appreciated to the seller that reached out to me. So with all that being said, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticism. Was this a good deal for $300? What was the best part of this deal? And do you enjoy seeing these types of videos? If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and thanks for watching.